In 1954, representatives from China, France, Britain, the Soviet Union, the Viet Minh, and the United States met in order to discuss the state of the conflict in Indochina. This meeting spanned the course of 3 months and was known as the Geneva Conference. The conference resulted in all of the countries present, with the exception of the United States and South Vietnam, signing the Geneva Accords, a series of agreements pertaining to the future state of Vietnam. By signing the accords, France agreed to grant Vietnam independence, Vietnam agreed to be temporarily divided at the 17th parallel, and foreign powers were not allowed to interfere in Vietnam.
About 10 years after the Geneva Conference, a classified study done by the Department of Defense on the U.S. involvement in Vietnam was leaked to the public. Officially known as the Report of the Office of the Secretary of Defense Vietnam Task Force, the study contained information dating back to before the Truman administration and revealed how the U.S. government undermined the American public. The documents were leaked in 1971 by a man named Daniel Ellsberg to Neil Sheehan, a reporter for the New York Times. Ellsberg worked on the study as an analyst and initially supported U.S. involvement in Vietnam. But by 1969, Ellsberg no longer believed that the U.S. could win the Vietnam War. The Times published a series of articles containing information from the confidential study known as the Pentagon Papers.
The first article released in the Pentagon Papers discussed the many decades of U.S. involvement in Vietnam. President Nixon was not initially worried about the leak because the article took the blame of the conflict in Vietnam off of him and put it onto previous leaders. Once the second article was released, which revealed the decision to bomb Vietnam before the election in 1964, Nixon's mindset shifted. He was scared that the leak would contain information on the secret bombing in Cambodia under his administration. The papers also revealed that the U.S. gave military aid to France during their colonial war with Vietnam under the Truman administration. The President Eisenhower decided that the U.S. would attempt to stop the communist takeover using force instead of signing the Geneva Accords in 1954. That John F. Kennedy intensified the war by increasing aggression policy, that Lyndon B. Johnson increased military involvement in South Vietnam a year before he revealed it to the public, and ordered bombings over North Vietnam despite the opposition of the United States intelligence community.
After the publication, the U.S. Department of Justice placed a temporary restraining order on the New York Times, prohibiting them from further publishing any more material. After trial with many other publishers, the U.S. government failed to justify a reason for the restraint of publication. This, however, did not stop the Nixon administration from indicting Daniel Ellsberg for his criminal actions. This case was dropped after the discovery of how a secret White House team called the Burglars broke into Ellsberg's psychiatrist's office in an attempt to discredit him.
The publication of the Pentagon Papers caused a widespread distrust between the American people and the government because it revealed how the government lied to the public to justify the Vietnam War. It also harmed international relations because of their past attempts to create a moral solution to the conflict in Indochina and the United States' inability to compromise. The relationship between the media and the government changed as well, making it more common to question the actions of the government.